So, welcome to O'Reilly Maths. This is the 2022 Leaving Cert Higher Level paper, and we're looking at question number 1. Part A says, find the two values of m, which are elements of the set of integers, for which the following equation in x has exactly one solution. And then we're given this equation here. Now, you should recognize this equation as a quadratic, okay? The highest power of x being 2, no sign of a cube term or anything. And we're asked about, the information we're given is that it has exactly one solution. Now, the thing that tells you about whether an equation has one solution, real solutions, or solutions that are not real, is the discriminant, if you remember. The part of the quadratic formula under the square root, b squared minus 4ac. That's called the discriminant. And if there's exactly one solution, that's going to be equal to 0. So we can set that up here, okay? So all we need to do is identify a, b, and c. Now our quadratic equation here is set up with the x squared, the x term, and the constant equals 0. So that's the usual way we see them. Our a value will be the number in front of x squared. Our b value will be the number in front of x, and our c value will be the constant term. So we set this up. B squared minus 4 times a times c is equal to 0. You'll see I've replaced each letter with an empty bracket. That's good practice to do it that way. And now we just plug in our values. So we plug the value b in here, which is minus m. Don't forget to include the sign. The number a is 3, and the number c is also 3. So now we can try and solve this equation for m. Minus m squared, that's minus m by minus m, is m squared. Minus 4 by 3 by 3 is 36, and that's equal to 0. So that's a quadratic equation. The easiest way to solve that is to bring the minus 36 across. M squared is equal to 36. So m will be the square root of, plus or minus, the square root of 36. So it's going to be plus or minus 6. It's important to get both answers. So that's our two values of m there, both in the set of integers, plus 6 and minus 6. Part B, explain why the following equation in x has no real solutions. So we have another equation here, which is quadratic. You can kind of see if you multiplied this bracket out, if you squared it, you would end up with some x squared terms. So it is a quadratic equation. It has no real solutions, okay? Now, no real solutions in terms of the discriminant is when the value of the discriminant is less than 0. That implies no real solutions, okay? So we could do it that way. We could multiply this double bracket out, tidy the equation up into a quadratic, identify b squared minus 4ac, plug those values in, and show that it's less than 0. But there's another easier way to do it. So I'll do it both ways. But the first way would be, let me do it this way first then. So 2x plus 3 squared is 2x plus 3 by itself. Don't forget that when you've got a bracket squared, it's the bracket by the bracket. Okay, so you can start to multiply this out now. That's going to give us 4x squared plus 6x plus another 6x is plus 12x. 3 by 3 is 9. And we still have that plus 7 there. Tidy it up a little bit more. 4x squared plus 12x. The 9 and the 7 gives us 16 is 0. Okay. Now, you could divide across by 4 here, or you could just identify your a, b, and c straight away. I'm just going to divide by 4, so maybe I can do it in my head. X squared plus 3x plus 4 divide 0 by 4 is still 0. Okay, so now that x squared is a 1x squared. So now I can identify my a is the number in front of x squared, my b is the number in front of x, and my c is the 4. So now I'm going to show rather that b squared minus 4ac is less than 0. So b squared minus 4 by a by c equals 0. Notice the way I say that to myself as I'm writing in the empty bracket. That's good practice. So b is 3. 3 minus 4 by a is 1, and c is 4. And what that gives us is 9. 3 squared is 9 minus 16. And sorry, we're trying to show that this was less than 0, isn't it? That's what we're showing. Less than 0. 9 minus 16 is minus 7 is less than 0. So now we've shown, therefore, no real roots or solutions. Sometimes they're called roots, sometimes they're called solutions. Okay, the other easier way, quicker way maybe to do it is as follows. If I just bring the plus 7 across to the other side here, I get 2x plus 3, which is squared, is equal to negative 7. And if I now get the square root of both sides, square root of 2x plus 3 squared is just 2x plus 3. And over here I'll have the square root of minus 7. And from here I can try and isolate x. So I can bring the plus 3 over. So I'll have 2x is equal to root of minus 7 minus 3. Divide both sides by 2. So x will be roots minus 7 minus 3 over 2. Okay, and if x is equal to this, well, the square root of minus 7, if you try that in your calculator, you get an error. That's because the square root of minus 7 is not a real number. Now, it's a complex number, which you may or may not have done, but it's not real. So x, or we just say no real roots again. Slightly quicker way to do it, I think, that way. But it's good to recap on the no real solutions is when the discriminant is less than 0. Okay, moving on then to part C. Part C1 says show that x is equal to minus 1 is not a solution of this. Okay, so I'm just going to replace, that's pretty straightforward, the x with this solution and show that it's not equal to 0. So 3 by x squared plus 2 times x plus 5 is equal to 0. Apologies for that. Okay, so we plug in our value of minus 1 now. And we have minus 1 squared is 1, 3, so that turns out to be 3. 2 by minus 1 is minus 2, plus 5. We're going to see, does that equal to 0? Well, that's 3 minus 2, which is 1 plus 5, so 6 is not equal to 0. So it's not a solution. Okay. Part 2 then, find the remainder when 3x squared plus 2x plus 5 is divided by x plus 1. That is, find the value of c when 3x squared plus 2x plus 5 is written in this form, okay, where a, b, and c are integers. So one way you can find the remainder, probably the most straightforward way, I think, is just to do long division. So we can divide x plus 1 into our quadratic, 3x squared plus 2x plus 5. And that should give us now an answer on top, but also a remainder. So what do I multiply x by to get 3x squared? Well, that would be 3x. 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times 1 is 3x. So now I'm going to subtract. 3x squared minus 3x squared, they cancel. 2x minus 3x is minus 1x. I drop down my plus 5 now. And I start again. X into minus x1 goes minus 1 times. Minus 1 by x is minus 1x. And minus 1 times plus 1 is minus 1. Okay, now I'm going to subtract again. Minus 1x minus minus 1x, they cancel. And be careful here, you've got 5 minus negative 1, that is 5 plus 1, which is 6. So there we go. We have our 3x squared plus 2x plus 5 can be written as x plus 1 times top here, 3x minus 1, plus c is our remainder down here, plus 6. That's the most straightforward way. And that's the end of the question.